Today we are testing the 2015 R3. This is Michael. Hey Michael. What's up? So real quick on this, guys, if you want specs you can go elsewhere, but I'm going to tell you real quick. 321cc, 110/70 R17, 140 rear in the back, just like the Ninja 300. It looks like it's pretty stock, eh Michael?
All stock. All I did was just put the radiator grill.
Nice. Very cool. Yeah, this is the Raven, and you can see it looks amazing. It looks a lot like the R1 I used to have, which was also a Raven. Yes, Raven, not black, Raven. This needs a tail tidy, but that's okay. It looks really good. So this is probably the best contender for the Ninja 300, and you can see it's got the fixed shock right there. It's hard to see it. And Michelin bias ply tires. That's probably something you would want to replace very quickly. So let's go ahead and try it. Alright Michael, you ready?
Yeah.
Okay, I'll see you in a bit. I'll lead. It's quite narrow. Kickstand is very easy to get to. It is a very narrow bike as far as the handlebars go. Actually, these are clip-ons. Ooh, takeoff is very simple. It's actually got a very upright feel as opposed to my bike, which is a lot more aggressively leaned over. It's actually quite narrow. I always adjust mirrors because I like to see what's behind me. Now, I am letting Michael try my bike, even though he's still pretty new, but he handled this thing just fine, and it's a risky take. I think he'll be fine though. He seems confident. That's good. This thing, I have to tell you, the gearbox is ultra smooth. The release point on the clutch is great. Brakes aren't spectacular, but I expected as much. 321cc, 110/140 tires, just like the Ninja. This is Michael on SpacePod's bike, and you can see it looks good. He's really going to see what this 300 is all about. I'm also going to interview Michael just to get an R3 owner's perspective, especially since he's never ridden the 300. Gear indicator. That's awesome. We're in first gear. 12.5K red line. The Ninja 300 has a 13,000 red line. And this gear indicator on a small bike, that is amazing. It's got a digital fuel gauge, just like the Ninja 300, and it's got a clock. The riding position is quite unusual. It's very upright for a small sport bike. It reminds me a lot of the Ninja 650. The tank is super narrow, but it's actually a little narrower than the 300. Turn signals feel very tactile, very easy to get to. I love that gear indicator. We're in 5th gear. And so far the power feels about on par with my bike. Handling is good so far. The bars are markedly narrower. Now granted, I have Woodcraft clip-ons that are set pretty narrow. They used to be even wider, but these are narrower still. And actually for someone of my frame, they fit pretty well. The levers are in a good spot. If this is stock, then this is a really great position to start out with. Normally a lot of us will tilt our levers down to be more in line with our wrists. We have a good amount of elbow in my shot for my mirrors, but these aren't wide mirrors like I have. So for stock mirrors, they're actually pretty good. Okay, let's go down to 4th. Gearbox is great. The shifter doesn't stick out as far as on my bike, so it's easy to miss it. I'll be trying brakes, but not right now. It's very comfortable, very forgiving for anyone. If you want a first bike, obviously the Ninja 300 is great. I would also recommend this so far because just taking off without knowing anything about the bike, it's actually quite good. And a beginner would love this bike quite a bit. Now, I've heard bad things about the tires, which are bias ply, and the suspension, but for someone of my weight, or Michael's weight, should be okay. I'm like 160, I'm probably 20 pounds overweight. And are you turning? Thank you. I'm going to try some low-end roll-on to see how that 321cc feels. So far it feels a lot like my Ninja, but it makes a little bit more power down low, it seems. It's so hot. Gotta get myself some ventilation. Some forced ram air. Oh my god, yeah, the gearbox is beautiful. Its feeling is really good. Brakes are a little bit wooden, or spongy I should say, compared to the 300, but I have better brakes on mine. You doing good? Good? Okay, cool. Let's try that roll-on. It's good. It's got some solid pull down low. The seat's quite comfortable. It's nice and narrow, actually. It doesn't have any weird canting to it that would throw me into the tank or has me sitting weird. Now, the first thing I would do on this bike if I owned it is I'd change these tires. I don't believe in false economy. That is, having a subpar component which you depend on, your life depends on, and riding it out to save a few bucks because the tires are new. I mean, if something is crappy but it's new, get something good that's new, right? I mean, tires are too important. So I'm a believer that you should either sell the stock tires right away if they suck, or give them away, or leave them with your mechanic, etc. Okay, gonna test the braking. The rear brake takes, you have to push it really hard to get anything out of it, but that's normal, especially on a beginner's bike. And this bike is not just for beginners, it's just good for beginners. Okay, I gotta say, the first gear is quite long. It's actually very sufficient. It's not too short, and you get a good amount of drive before you have to switch. Oh, that's all we need. A garbage truck. I read a lot of reviews of this bike, and yeah, the tires got panned pretty hard. But the guys who test these bikes are way better riders than I am. So I think I'll be fine. I don't think Yamaha would put tires on here that are going to immediately make you crash. But I believe in good tires, the best you can afford. And everyone, the view that are riding, can't afford the best tires. They don't cost that much, but they offer a huge benefit. So the bike's very upright, very comfortable, narrow tank. It's kind of not that grippable unless you get some thick tech spec pads, which I recommend because I love mine. Love, 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 love. And we're only doing 59, so we're good. The bike just feels so solid. I mean, Yamaha they're great. I mean, they're great engineers. My favorite road racer of all time rides a Yamaha, and he wins. So does Jorge Lorenzo. So, for Yamaha or anyone to jump into the lightweight sport bike market, I think it's awesome, encouraging. Competition breeds improvement, as we know from the space race. So, Kawasaki, of course, is not going to rest on their laurels. They're going to keep thinking about what they can do to improve. And I wouldn't be surprised if other manufacturers get in on the lightweight sport bike market, such as Suzuki. We already have KTM with the RC390, Honda with the CBR 300R, of course the Ninja 300 by Kawasaki, and the Yamaha R3. 60 miles an hour, I'm only at 7k RPMs in 5th gear. Downshifts are very smooth, even without a slipper clutch. This bike does not have ABS or a slipper clutch. Okay, first real turn. Yeah, I'm not going as hard on this as I normally would on my bike. feels good. It feels, see, my Ninja 300, I haven't had it stock in, well, since February 2013, which is the month that I got it. But it has 40.2 horsepower, up from just under 35 horsepower stock. And I don't know what this has. I know it's 321cc. I imagine it's about 40 horsepower. And it feels a lot like my bike with a, you know, obviously a different power band. The gear shifter is just phenomenal. Front brakes are okay, not as good as my bike. But again, bone stock. These tires have not been leaned over so far, this far. So I gotta sneak up on it gently. Mid-range grunt is quite good. I gotta use both front and rear brakes just to slow it down. So I'm in 4th gear. I'm purposely pulling in a high gear just to see how the power is. So throw some Pirelli Diablo Rosso 2s on here and you are in business. You can also get the Woodcraft clip-ons if you want that wider feel. Engine braking is probably a good way to stop the bike better, slow it down. This bike is really solid though. I'd probably rank this a number 2 behind my bike, but with the caveat that the tires get upgraded, because I just don't trust these tires. They're newish tires that are bias ply, and it's virgin rubber on the cornering stuff, so I'm taking it easy, sneaking up on it. Once I ride it, it might improve my confidence a bit. Take a look at the dash again. Gear indicator, I just love that. 4th gear. Tires feel okay, no slippage yet. I'm pretty moderate. Now the seating position, you really have to work a little harder to get that aggressive position, but it's doable. This bike really does bridge a gap between, you know, the sit up and beg new rider position, it's good for them, and someone who's riding more aggressively. It really does a nice job, and I love the fact that it has real clip-ons. That's just awesome. That's how small sport bikes should come. Another thing is, I think Michael will really like these roads. If you've never been on these roads, one of the things I enjoy is taking new riders on this road, because it's so good. Oh, okay, look, so there is a flash to pass button. Very nice. That is super handy. Flash to pass button basically flashes your high beams. It's right here. I'm looking at the road. Well, I show you. And it's beautifully positioned. The bike tracks really well, and it's a quality piece, you can tell. The fueling is just super smooth, silky. The Ninja isn't quite as good with the fueling. It does have a little jerkiness, especially at you know, when you're first getting on the gas in first gear, it was a little shuddery. I remember that. And I thought it was actually, I thought something was wrong with it, and it's just how it is. I'm gonna have to try an emergency stop here just to see what it's like. Okay, going. Track smoothly with stop. Takes a while to stop though. It's not like my 300, which has pretty darn good brakes. It sounds like a parallel twin, you know, but it sounds good. It has forged aluminum pistons, apparently. I guess that's trickle-down tech from the R1 and R6. Why does my voice keep going up? I don't know. Very easy to ride. It's fun to ride a small bike. So, a nicely modded 300 can definitely give this a run for its money. But if you mod this, you're going to have that much more power too. So, you know, I'd love to see one of these modded with really good tires and, you know, the whole nine. I'm revving this a little bit because I don't know if Michael has been revving it. I don't know what he's been doing, so just trying to put it through its paces. Super comfortable. Now it's going to feel weird when I get back on my bike. It's going to feel like a super sport. Super smooth gearbox. Love it. Love it. I'm starting to trust the tires more. I just want to be sure they're nicely scrubbed. There's no such thing as mold release anymore though. But if I have virgin rubber, you know, I like to at least scuff it up a little before I throw it in. To my skill level anyway. Gauges feel awesome. Horn sounds like pretty much every other tiny bike. Or big bike. Bikes just don't get great horns. Let's just face that fact. Feels good though. Even these bias plied tires with the disreputable tires on this bike, they don't feel too bad. But you know, like I said, I'm not that quick. I'm no Ari Henning. I'm no Doug Henning either. It's an illusion. Illusions are magical. Magic is an illusion. Thanks for giving it away. I thought it was real. Okay, pretty soon I'm going to pull over and wait. The bike is very footable. I mean, it's very narrow. It's super easy to get your feet down. In fact, I think it's a little shorter or lower than the Ninja, and the width isn't greater, so you'll have a very easy time getting your foot down, even if you're shorty pants. There's the engine. Sounds good. I should have pulled off there. That's the pull-off point right there. So I have a review of the ZX-10R in process, but I might put this out first just because, you know, this bike just came out and I want to get a review out as quick as possible on this bike. And of course the ZX-10R review will still go up. So if that happens, sorry Morgan, sorry man, your bike's awesome, I am going to put it up. So I was explaining some stuff to Michael, you know, about bikes I'd ridden or my R1, and the thing you forget as a vlogger, if you meet with a fan, they know everything about you already, at least whatever you've shared in your vlog. So it's pretty funny. It's because you have this natural urge to explain things to people you just met, but if they've already been watching you, there's this weird imbalance, and celebrities must really get this worse because everyone knows who they are, they know a lot about their lives. It's kind of interesting to experience that dynamic, even just a little bit. So what else would you guys want to know about the R3 that I would know riding it? Feels good, short rider friendly. The tank capacity is not quite as good as the Ninja 300. It only has like, I want to say 3.7 gallons, but I know it's a good bit less. That's something to keep in mind. Now, I'm sure this gets great gas mileage like the 300, but you don't have as much tank, as much fuel, so you're going to be stopping more often than you would on the 300, even given the same fuel mileage. This corner is tricky, so hopefully he doesn't panic. If he's not the panicking type, he should be just fine on this ride at this pace. I am going to stop at the gas station that time forgot, God, just to see if he wants to switch back or, you know, see how he's doing. And I'm also hungry, so I'm going to see if he wants to get some lunch. Every time I do this road, I always take the people to lunch, but, you know, we always do lunch and we can unravel and they can get a bite to eat, a drink before they head home, and, you know, it's always fun that way, and make a new friend. And I've made so many friends through vlogging and meeting other vloggers and fans. It's great. It's awesome. There are many perks to being a vlogger if you're somewhat well known. This is also one of the perks, is people will offer you bikes to ride and test, and they're happy to do it, and I'm happy to do it too, because, you know, they get to see how I treat other people's property and how much care I give to a bike and how I review it, and I'm genuinely interested in reviewing the bike. And they see it go, you know, on the channel, thousands of views, and that's exciting for some people. They get to meet me, I guess, and that's kind of fun, because maybe I wouldn't meet them otherwise. I'm just busy, so I gotta prioritize. Or I would be out riding my own bike, which I like. I mean, that's why I have it. It's such a great bike. I do complain about it on the freeway, but I'm not commuting these days, and in the canyons it's brill. I don't think I have time. 321cc, gotta love it. Gotta love it. See, here's the thing. There's no such thing as a 250cc class on the street. So 250cc has no bearing on what you should ride on the street, other than the learner laws that exist in some states, some countries, really countries. We don't have that here in the US, so, and a 250 is just too small, I think. Too small for LA freeways, and pretty much American freeways. I just think it's nice to have a small bike, but I think the 300, or that class, that category, fulfills a lot of the benefits of the 250 without a lot of the bad downsides. You know, having a bike that's too light, that's a big liability when it's really windy, and it does get windy where I live. In fact, on my 250, I had the rear tire chirp on me just by wind. I was being blown around like crazy, and that wasn't fun, so. Okay, we're in first. Let's try to put the kickstand down. Very easy. It's got a little nubbin right there. Ducati, take note, bitches. You can park a bike downhill, make sure you're in first gear. Do you get 2 lights with low beam on this bike?
Yeah. Oh, no. Just
1 light? Okay, just like mine. Okay, here we go. You're a proud owner of the R3.
Yeah.
And so tell me, as an R3 owner, what did you think of the 300?
I like it. That's my first choice for the for the first time I was looking for a bike. So I waited for 2 years.
Yeah?
And then I waited for the R3 because of the gear indicator.
Right.
And the low C height, because I have a 30.7 and 30.9.
Right.
Which is okay for me, but I like the look of this one. But I like this one because of the gear indicator.
Yes, I love the gear indicator.
Because of a beginner like me.
It's so great to have a gear indicator on this. I call these the lightweight sport bikes. I guess a few people call them that. And the gear indicator makes it feel like a real super sport. And it's not some add-on, it's just built in. The mirrors aren't great. These are throwing me off. I don't really like those, but that's up to you.
I just keep on looking over my shoulder just to make sure.
Yeah.
I don't trust this mirror. I want to remove it and then just put the bar end mirror, but they say it's no good, so.
So the clip-ons felt a little wide to you, eh? Like too low?
Too low hurts my back.
It's a big difference between, this is a lot more aggressive as far as the woodcraft. You're lower, you're wider, even though I made those narrower. And this has a more upright position. It's very comfortable. Super comfortable.
Long rides. For me.
Ideal. And I think for me too, and I think for any new rider, this splits the difference between comfort and aggressive riding, because you still have those clip-ons. You can still like adjust them or get different clip-ons. It's good. I would probably replace those tires really
soon
quickly.
I will.
Yeah.
Because I don't tires.
Huh?
I don't trust the tires.
I don't trust. Well, I was able to go. It felt okay, but I would get better tires, and then you'll be able to trust those. Like get some Pirelli Diablo Rosso 2s, and you'll be in business. If you do nothing else, the tires. And also, some of the magazine reviewers have really criticized the tires. But of course, they're riding faster than both of us, or faster than I would ride too. So otherwise, it looks fantastic. It's the gearing is so smooth. You know, very good fueling as well. How did the power feel?
I think this one is much faster than my R3.
Yeah,
for me,
it might be. It might be.
You know,
because it is modified. You know, it's got the exhaust. It's got the ECU. This is 40.2 horsepower, 40.2 horsepower, and I don't know what the horsepower is on this. Do you know?
321, 320.
How much?
320. I don't know. It's like a 320 cc. I don't know the power.
Okay, yeah, I'm guessing it's roughly 40 horsepower ish, but it has a different power band. You know. Looks great, of course. Oh man, look at that. Okay, here's the front shot of the bike side by side. Ooh, let's get another Instagram real quick.
Okay.
Alright, so I'm back in the 300, and yes, the 300 is considerably wider at the clip-ons. These are wider clip-ons. They're also lower, and they're also far more forward, so there's a greater reach. There's Michael right there. Sometimes a new rider will just charge ahead on a tricky road. Doing it right though. Michael, since he's watched my vlogs since 2012, he probably knows this road. It's like a racer playing PS4 to learn a track. Anyone who's watched my vlogs enough knows this road really well, I'm sure. Or what's coming. Really long left. Reminds me of Thunderhill. Alright, YouTubies, thanks for tuning in to this R3 test and comparison with the nicely modded Ninja 300. If you don't know my mod list, check the link in the description below. I will link you to the page that has all my mods. Some of the big points are, you know, Yoshimura R77 full carbon exhaust, ECU tune, and a host of others, including some really nice tires by Pirelli, the Diablo Rosso 2, highly recommended. Stock sizes, of course. And the R3 is really nice. It's narrow, but not too narrow. The bars, the clip-ons are kind of narrowish, but quite comfortable. Girls would love it because they have narrower shoulders than guys generally. Any first-time rider would love that bike. 321 cc's. Plenty of power, but isn't like a super sport, isn't going to knock your socks off, isn't going to overwhelm. Very forgiving gearbox, very, very smooth gear changes, great fueling, and the tires, I would replace those ASAP. Otherwise, thumbs up, R3. Good marks. I give it, I don't know, 7, 8. I do like my modded 300 better, but of course, I'm going to like a modded bike better. It's perfectly suited to me. But right out of the box, that R3 is phenomenal. Alright everybody, well, this has been Space Pod. Thanks as always for tuning in. I'm almost at 24,000 subs. I did take a break there because I modeled a spaceship and that was for a job. And I'm still working on it, but it's largely done, so the pressure's kind of off. Thanks to everyone. Got some new controversial vlogs coming. ZX10R test is coming. And as always, Space Pod out.